So every now and then you get a chance to chop it up with Brooke Brown. Brooke, it's been a while. We've been trying to reach each other for a while.
Yeah, we have.
And we finally got there. We finally got to like, we're talking, let's do it.
Yes.
So I decided to record this interview so that we can literally share some of our content and what we're talking about with the world. And you and I were just talking about AI and the differences between using AI as a tool and giving it prompts and having AI work for you in the form of agents. And we just talked a little bit about that. Talk a little bit about what your thoughts are on what I just shared with you.
Well, I've been in the last year kind of researching myself, not that I little dab here. And I think that's great. That's what I've had to deal with because I come from my background's actually in marketing and advertising. And about a year ago, I got laid off from my corporate job. So I'm now focused on more doing my own thing in my own business and, doing all of that. But I've been podcasting for almost 13 years. So
Wow.
so I've seen the evolution of the entire space be what it is now. But to go back to your question about AI and how that could be leveraged as either a tool to help you listen to whatever huge number you mentioned, like 500,000, I think you mentioned at least.
542,314 last night alone.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, you and I would never in one day physically listen to that many podcasts. It's physically impossible.
Yeah, I had heard a stat that there's almost like a new podcast started every 3 days or
Okay,
something.
so I got to share something with you about that. When we started our data research on this space, I built an AI that literally verified all the email addresses of podcasters. And last year, when we started this, we were at about 3.725 million email addresses verified of podcasters, which means those are real emails, real podcasters. Recently, we just passed the 3.985 million reach. So we're literally in the last year, literally over a last year, seeing the number of podcasts of verified emails increase by over 200,000 just in our database. Now, I've heard people say that over the next 5 years, we're going to see podcasts go from 4 million to about 40 million. Literally, everyone's going to have some sort of podcast as a tool to create conversation, dialogue, and promote their personal and business brand. Whether that's the number we reach or not is irregardless. What I am for sure of is I'm for sure seeing that podcasts are literally the fastest growing vertical in business, I think, right now.
Yeah. Uh, but also kind of what I've dealt with. So I've been podcasting and I podcast about mine's called Trinity Topics with BB, but it's over the years because I'm very passionate about a specific genre of music, electronic dance music, and specific genres, subgenres within that genre. I've had a lot of
Hey, by
guests.
the way, we just had EDC here in Vegas this last weekend.
It's coming up this weekend, actually.
Or it's this weekend? I knew it was like recent or coming up.
Yeah, so yeah, and that's going to have over 500,000 people attend.
Crazy. Now, by the way, stay very hydrated because a lot of people pass out at EDC.
Yeah, I went to it. The last time I went to it was 2017. I haven't been since.
Well, just
Uh,
FYI, when they mention a girl named Molly, they're not actually talking about a girl.
yeah,
We're clear.
exactly. Exactly. But
Molly,
anyway,
for all of you going to EDC, Molly is not actually a girl.
yeah. But anyway, my point on all of that is that podcasting can be extremely niche. Um, And I think what the reason why there's so many podcasts that we just talked about is the fact that some of those don't make it past one or two episodes because over the years and the growth of podcasting, people have seen some podcasts do really well. Obviously, we've got the celebrity and brand podcasts that do really well. But then when you're a niche podcast like myself, sometimes people in like niche podcasting get discouraged because they're not going to see the numbers, the downloads, the listens as high as maybe one of those popular podcasts. But the key is what I'm getting at is the reason I've kept doing it for over 12 years is because, I believe in it and I believe in who I have as guests on my podcast. And I feel like that it's a good medium to get whatever message or promote whatever project that is deemed necessary for the audience that typically tunes in. However, what I'm getting at is what I want to say to people is that it's not going to be an easy endeavor.
No.
Podcasting is not easy. It's a lot of work. I've been doing it myself for 12 years. Editor, producer, host, the whole gamut. But again, like I said, it's a good medium, and I always felt that it's one of the last mediums right now, especially with the political climate of like free speech that you can at the moment. So it's like that's kind of a reason why I feel like podcasting won't go away and it's going to keep growing. I just want to put it out there for those that may be listening to whenever this airs, that it's not a get out of it's not really an easy scheme right away to it. You think of it as a tool for your overall brand more than just the one aspect that can propel whatever your brand is.
Yeah, I think literally there's two things about podcasts that I've learned. One, it is long format opportunities for people to talk about their personal brand, their business brand, their product brand. When you get 30 minutes to an hour to chop it up with somebody, people get a chance to see you talk for 30 minutes to an hour, and they can see how you talk, they can get a feel for whether they like you or not. And then more importantly, they get a chance to learn about your brand, your business, and your product. And you can't do that with any other ad unit. There's not another ad unit out there that you can do that with. You buy an ad on Instagram, and let's say it's a, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 second video. Second somebody sees that, poof, it goes away. You got to pay for another ad for somebody to see it. Here with podcasting, you can talk for a half hour to an hour, and then that podcast gets uploaded to a myriad of sites, and somebody could watch that podcast next year, the year after, the year after, the year after. I'll give you an example. In 2000, God, I want to say it was 2012, maybe 2009. I think it was 2009, maybe. Yeah, somewhere around there. That was almost 15 years ago, 16 years ago. I had a roommate and she was a contortionist. And I made a video that I uploaded to YouTube called Girl in a Box. And she literally contortioned her body into my ottoman, which had a box. It was basically a piece of furniture that opened up, and then she was able to like fit in the ottoman, and like you could sit on the ottoman and shut the box, and it was unbelievable. Like I literally couldn't believe this, and I posted that video. To this day, that video gets 20,000 views a week. I mean, just like clockwork, people watch that video. Now, granted, I think some people are weird looking for, well, wait a second, what's this girl in a box thing? Can I order,
Yeah,
can I
something
order?
new.
I've had so many people message me going, hey, I thought I was going to be able to order a girl in a box. I'm like, no, no, it's just because she was able to fit in a box. I'm not shipping her out. But the funny thing is, 15 years later, people are absorbing that content. You do a podcast, we do this podcast interview today, and I upload it. 15 years from now, somebody's going to get a chance to hear this conversation. They're going to get a chance to get a feel for you, get a feel for me. And that ultimately helps build your personal brand.
Right. I agree.
And,
Um,
and that's unlike any other ad unit out there. There's nothing else out there like that. That's why I tell people literally, I don't do anything else other than podcasting to promote my business these days.
yeah, because it lives on the interwebs for as long as you want it, forever, or take
I
it
couldn't.
down whenever.
Exactly. Hey, by the way, we're hosting a podcaster summit in Texas, August 25th and 26th, at a golf facility called Golf Suites, where we literally turn each bay into a podcast bay. We've got 60 podcasters, over 5,000 content creators invited. It's going to be a full day of content creation, 6 a.m. till midnight. We got live entertainment at night to keep everyone going, unlimited drinks to keep everyone hydrated, non-alcoholic drinks, by the way, just so we're clear. I don't want anyone getting liquored up for a whole day. Are you coming out to Texas? Can I give you a podcast suite so you can chop it up with people?
I would love to come out of Texas. I'd have to see if it fits in my schedule with what's coming up. But yeah,
Well,
definitely.
if you land on August 24th and you go home on the 27th, you'll have 2 days of exhausting interviews.
That'd be great.
By the way, just so you know, Texas Tech University is the University of Lubbock, Texas. They are ranked 15th in this year's college football ratings. And we're going to have the team, the coach, a lot of the players come out. I think it's going to be a great way to kick off college football, which, by the way, college
in Texas.
football in Texas is a religious experience.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, especially even high school football. So,
Oh, high school, yeah. Yeah. Friday night lights. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That you should see some of the football state fields that they have in some of the high schools in Texas. They literally are like professional football stadiums.
yeah, I've seen lots of videos and documentaries on that, and looks
Well,
interesting.
they made that movie out of it, Friday Night Lights.
Yes. Yeah, and then the series.
Oh yeah, they had a series out of it too.
Yeah,
So
awesome.
if somebody's like right now watching this and they're afraid to launch their own podcast, they're worried that they don't have the skills. That fear is usually what holds people back from everything in life. What would you say to them to get them past that fear?
Well, if you're passionate about what you want to promote, or you have a message or a story or anything of the like, I say do it. And I say this is why. Because when I started almost 13 years ago, uh, podcasting wasn't what it is today. In fact, I had to Google how do you start a podcast, and I think at the time there was only a few hosting websites.
It was just you and Joe Rogan then, right?
Kind of, pretty much. I remember the early days of Joe Rogan, actually. I remember when he was in his old house and he had grainy video back when it was actually fun to listen to. Sorry, I put it out there. Um, Before it got huge.
You gotta give Joe credit. He's still super interesting. He did an episode recently with Theo Vaughn. I could listen to those two guys talk all day long.
Yeah, I mean, I just think the 2 or 3 hour mark of a podcast is a little too long, but that's my opinion.
I got to tell you, it in some cases it is, but some cases it's really like interesting, and I listen to the whole 3 hours. But I will say, it takes a lot. It takes a lot to do 3 hours of podcast.
Yeah, but I think I don't know, it depends on everybody's attention span. I think everybody's attention span is like used like generations younger than myself are used to like minute or less. So long form is kind of it depends on if people really are intrigued by who the guests are, what the topic is, all of that.
Well,
But to go back
a
to
lot of the podcasts out there these days live off short form clips.
yeah, and then it gets people to go actually listen to the entire thing. So it kind of goes back. But to go off your question about the fear, I just say go for it. Like I said, we mentioned the numbers that are increasing. And as to go back to what I said earlier, it's don't expect it to be it's gonna take some growth. I mean, like I said, I've been in here 12, 13 years and I'm just feeling like I'm getting my stride, which is really funny. Because it's just taken all the work and all the consistency of putting out episodes, hundreds of episodes now, over 170 some episodes I have. Um, but it also, you know, you got to get there. And I think um, if you find something interesting to talk about, there's going to be other people that want to listen to what you find interesting.
What are some of the subject matters that you've interviewed people on that you find interesting? What are some of the stuff that you like the most?
Well, I've had discussions on mental health. I've done discussions, like I said, in the electronic dance music world and some of the events that I'm involved with, such as Groove Cruise and some other awesome opportunities I've had. I've also talked to people about cryptocurrency, NFTs when that was all the rage back in
What
the
do you think
day.
about Bitcoin? Are you coming to the Bitcoin conference in Vegas? It's May 26th. I've got a kickoff dinner if you want to come.
Um, Sadly, I can have some scheduling there, but I don't know. I'm not really. I learned, I've listened to a lot of people and had discussions about cryptocurrency, but I'm not really that into it. Um, it is what it is. I guess it just never really intrigued me as much as other options. But like I said, I've had discussions about it and learned from other people that are really in the know, especially about NFTs and all of that in the past, that seem to have died. So that's why I'm curious about that. But I've also talked about just overall science. I've had people that have other business, other entrepreneurs. Like my podcast, I'm open to a lot of different topics. I've talked even a little bit of sports. because I used to have a sports chat TV, gosh, maybe 13, 14 years ago, which is content where it was a sports chat show that I used to do
You
back in the
think
day.
the NBA draft is rigged?
I think a lot of professional sports is rigged.
Well, the NBA draft is for sure rigged, in my opinion. And a lot of like the NFL games last year seemed very sketchy at best.
I kind of stopped watching a lot of the main leagues about 10 years ago because I just started to see that it was all about ratings, all about advertisements, and the game changed. Especially, I was a huge basketball fan growing up. Like, I was super young when it happened, but I remember
All
the
right,
down
quick question. Who's the GOAT? Jordan, LeBron, Kobe?
Jordan. But I grew up watching those series, and like when you rewatch the documentary The Last Dance, you can relive those days. Although my favorite player at the time still is Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen was like my guy. But anyway,
No
uh,
Tip and Pippen?
yeah, I was a big Scottie Pippen fan back in the day.
I got to
Uh,
give Scotty credit. I
yeah,
think he made Jordan better.
agreed.
I think Jordan was great to begin with, but he needed somebody like Scotty to win those six championships. I don't think he wins those six championships
No,
without him.
yeah, well, that entire unit. You needed Ron Harper, you needed Rodman, you needed Steve Kerr, you needed the whole unit to help propel Jordan. And if you go and watch The Last Dance, that documentary pretty much reiterates kind of what you felt at the time, but it was all about Jordan at the time because somebody that explosive on the court was so new at the time. But if I had to compare between Kobe and LeBron, Kobe hands down.
Yeah, I
I've
gotta
never really
say,
been a LeBron fan. I'm like the minority in that, but and I think the comparisons, it's just different eras. But I think if you had to choose the GOAT, it would be Michael. But again, I grew up young. I was a young kid during those days, but I remember it. So
well, I was younger back then, but I can tell you that there's never been a player like Michael Jordan. Like LeBron's a physical specimen, but Michael had the GOAT mentality. And same thing with Kobe. He had Mamba mentality. These guys, they took their mindset a little bit higher than their physical abilities. And when you look at both those players, and then you look at somebody like LeBron, you realize that their mindset was way above them, above him, because their commitment to winning was at all costs. Like when Kobe, I want to say he ruptured his Achilles or something, the way he came back so quickly off of that was unbelievable. Like I don't know if people understand. I've had a ruptured Achilles before. It is a year and a half to come back from that easily before you're even able to run or do anything normal. And he came back in 8 months, which is unbelievable.
yeah, I absolutely liked Kobe too after he retired. What he did for LA, what he did for his family. That's why I was so
I
excited
love
that
the
he died.
relationship he had with his daughter Gigi. It broke my heart to watch him and his daughter, die at such a young age. Where when they were both at the beginning of something. I could just tell they were both at the beginning of something really special, and it was a special relationship to watch unfold. And it broke my heart to see them both leave so early.
Agreed. Yeah, I remember that day. Um, so to answer your question about podcasting, and for those that are listening that are still on the fence, just try it. But don't put so much emphasis into, I have to get this many listens, I have to get this many downloads in a month or even 6 months, because the reality of it, you're gonna your expectations going to be lower in reality than what you think. Just because you're seeing all these celebrities and brands get it, they have the money to push it out to everybody. A person like myself, when I was working corporate and doing this as a side hustle, I didn't have the time nor the resources to get it to put out a bunch of ads for it at the time. So of course, over 12 years, um, it's had to grow organically. I've done a little bit of ads, but in marketing on social media. But the point is that just do it because you'll thank yourself later that you started it, and then you can learn from it and then maybe change the format, maybe switch instead of doing weekly to monthly, or maybe do a series. I mean, there's a reason why true crime podcasts are so popular, other than the fact that of their content. I think it's just because they're consistent. It's all about consistency and putting out content.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And the best advice you're giving people is don't worry, give zero fucks about how many views you get. Because some of the people that are getting like, I got 1 million views. Yeah, but like 999,000 are from North Korea, where they're literally just, hitting a view button to get your numbers up. Like
Yeah,
people that are worried about the numbers, they don't realize how important the content is. And you're having real conversations with real people. And even if only 1,000 people watch your content, that's 1,000 people you reached with one interview. You didn't have to talk to 1,000 people 1,000 times. You were
right,
able to talk to them one time, and 1,000 people were able to spot that interview and literally jump into the conversation.
right. And also, I mean, I guess also since I've been consistently putting out episodes for 12 years, when you look up certain keywords now, people can find my podcast. So it's just the whole SEO factor. The whole search engine optimization of it is that, oh, I have a bunch of episodes out. There might not, I might have been not doing it as consistently as I once was, but that's because I'm working to get, you know, different people on the podcast. But my point is that it's there and people are finding it. And I'm still getting notifications that people are seeing it, or opportunities to talk to you or other people like yourself. So I think that's why people should podcast, because you don't know what opportunities arise.
Well, I'm going to give you a free podcast setup in Bay. All you have to do is get your own AV team, and I'm going to set you up at the podcast summit live in Texas. And I think at the very least, if you can get down there and get your own AV team, you're going to chop it up for 48 hours straight.
That would be a lot of talking, but
I will say stay hydrated, and I would tell you to one bit of advice I've been giving people: bring extra socks, because I don't know what it is, but when you change out your socks throughout the day, it feels good to have some like clean socks on your feet.
yeah. And also it's just, I mean, good to like feel clean.
That is true. Clean is good. Clean is good.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I'll have to look into getting down there if I can.
Sounds good. She is Brooke Brown. I am super glad we had a chance to chop it up. Brooke, I want you to leave people with something inspirational. What would you tell somebody right now to inspire them to change their lives, to pursue their dreams, to go for it?
Um, just do it. Just go with sorry to take Nike's
Shout out to Nike.
yeah, but I mean, YOLO, you only live once. And at the end of the day, with everything going on, we're all like, if you don't do anything, the regret is going to be you not trying more than whatever the thing or place or aspect is. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, there's a 50-50 chance that what you try is going to work out for you, or it's going to work out for you because you know what not to do and what you want to do. And that's what I've learned in life is at least try, because again, we only live once and you never know.
That is true. She's Brooke Brown. She's just doing it. YOLO.
Yeah.